up by tomorrow.
Okay, go for it.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm John Roach, and I'd like to welcome you to the February issue of our monthly KAKTUS Poetry Zoom. We've been doing this for almost a year now. It started at the end of March, and we'll be continuing it into the near future and maybe longer. So I wanted to thank Jules Nyquist for all the tech support here, as every month, and also to thank the KAKTUS Brewery in Bernalillo, New Mexico, from which we take the name. We used to do the open mic right there at the bar, and that, of course, has not been possible for a while. I hope to get back to it at some point. I think they are open for takeout at very least at the moment, and they have great pizza. Okay, many of you heard that Lawrence Ferlinghetti died today, age 101, and of course, the founder of City Lights Books and the City Lights bookstore in San Francisco. City Lights introduced the world to Allen Ginsberg, Gregory Corso, Diane DePrima, many writers associated with the Beat movement, and Ferlinghetti himself published many books. I want to read one from one of his early books, A Coney Island with a Mind, from New Directions, and this very likely was the first poetry book I ever purchased in high school. And, it was, I think, sold like 1 million copies or something then. And so it was very influential to a lot of writers and to young people like myself. And so I'll read a poem, number 20. The penny candy store beyond the L is where I first fell in love with unreality. Jelly beans glowed in the semi-gloom of that September afternoon. A cat upon the counter moved among the licorice sticks and Tootsie Rolls and oh boy gum. Outside, the leaves were falling as they died. A wind had blown away the sun. A girl ran in, her hair was rainy. Her breasts were breathless in the little room. Outside, the leaves were falling, and they cried, too soon, too soon. So we give tribute to Lawrence Ferlinghetti. Okay, so our first reader, I'm going to put him on gallery view here. Our first reader will be Larry Goodell. I should mention we have 2 readers tonight, both from Placitas, New Mexico. Funny. Yeah, I think about half the people in this little village are poets and the rest are visual artists. So Larry Goodell, I consider one of my mentors, and I think Jules does too, and as well as being a neighbor. Larry and I share a kind of poetic lineage because we both studied with Robert Creeley. Larry Goodell studied with Bob Creeley at the University of New Mexico in the early 60s, and I studied with him at the University of Buffalo in the 1980s. Creeley and his wife Bobby were the first, among the first poets or artists to move to the village of Placitas, and there was kind of a lot of people started to follow suit there. A few things, I guess. Larry Goodell has published dozens of books, both his own and others, through his Duende Press, which is a legendary press in the history of the 1960s Mimeo Revolution. So much so that 2 or 3 years ago, Yale University published Larry's Duende Press archive, which is now housed at the Beinecke Library in New Haven. And Larry's also an archivist of poetry in New Mexico, and he has a lot of wonderful historical artifacts on his website if you want to check that out. He's also probably the most prolific poet that I know. He is very diligent. He's been going through old records, old poems, old drafts, and getting them into print. And I think he'll mostly be reading from the new one, Escape, but I'll show you a couple of his more recent ones, Grounded, which are poems from 3 years between 2008 to 2010. Also, he has A New Land, Dried Apricots, Samurai Dog Biscuits, and Other Writings. And he did a book of his plays called Hot Art and Other Plays. These are all within the last 3 years. And there are others. I should also mention that Larry helped to introduce poets, MC readings in over many decades in places like the Living Batch bookstore near the University of New Mexico, the Thunderbird, the late lamented Thunderbird bar in Placitas, Silva's Saloon in Bernalillo and elsewhere. And then at the, for about a dozen years at the Anasazi Fields winery in Placitas. So anyway, he's been he was also associated with the Taos Poetry Circus. And I could go on, which I won't, but just, he's a great writer and treasure to the poetry community. And turn it over to Larry Goodell.
Thank you, and welcome to everybody. And great to see a couple of old friends. It's amazing. I'm going to read 2 or 3 poems from this Grounded, which is poems from 2010 to 2008, and then mostly some from Escape, and then maybe one new poem. And at a certain point, John will shout at me, "That's enough. You can't be serious. You can't be serious. You can't be serious unless you pick up words like cold stones and move them around and set them down. You can't be serious unless you expunge humor from your discourse, expunge God, expunge SpongeBob, expunge everything but punishment. You've got to have the academic bells after you clanging at your death, as your books gather dust mites that are happy with your work. You can't be serious unless you follow in the footsteps of Milton, Donne, Eliot, Lowell, the pinch-mark poets of Pasadena, and the heavy guttural bondage of Harvard, Chicago, Iowa, Columbia, Bismarck, and the MFAs of potty-trained poets in the academic anemia of department stalls, developing flattened testicles from sitting too long in cubicles, and smashed boobs from carrying books up library steps. You can't be serious unless you abide by this and cross all meaning of heart out of your work, your words, your life. A la loca, a la local. Something is new in the corn dance of the heart. The Santo Domingo, San Felipe ceremonies that a white guy remembers, pounding plaza, elders, newbies, offbeat dancers, all on beat. The words to the 4 corners of the local universe only imagine from books to me, as I sit down on an anthill and they laugh at me, only less informed as a koshari, a funny priest. At least I don't dump urine on your head. But I sit back here reminded how penetrating those Zuni nights of ceremony of the Longhorn clan, those cochiti colors in running flags with banners, and an Aunt Jemima Indian in the elder chorus I'll never understand, and an Apache devil dance toward the fire with zigzag head shadows down at Mescalero. As I realize how puny my transplanted fate of beliefs, a religion I can't believe in any way that I know, in the parade of unknowns. True faith must come up from the ground you live on. And one more from Grounded. Can you hear me? Okay. All right. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. We are one. I cannot say I say, because I doesn't exist with me. I for me is we. We all work together as one, and the one is made up of infinite ones. Therefore, we exist. We exist concurrently, and each one is a we. Nothing in the universe exists singly. We form the major one. Each cell and animal and plant made up of atoms and particles all the way down. We are, and all the way up, and aware of all rocks and air and things of matter. As the universe vibrates within itself, we are as we are, both outside and inside, real and imagined real. So I can say along with you and me, we. I'd like to mention that I certainly welcome you to go, well, my website has links to all these things, larrygoodell.com, but go to duende.bandcamp, BANDCAMP, because I have put over a good number of years, I've put as lots of recordings there, old and new, not just poetry, there's some music too, some of my silly music and some of my more serious music, but a lot of poetry readings are there. So everything is free to listen to it. So I'm kind of excited about that project. And for my books, go to Larry Goodell Amazon, and they're listed there. Now, this has been a really amazing project for me in that I call it here. Here is my attempt to publish poems that I think are worth publishing. And quite often throughout my years of living, it just hasn't been available to me. So now the world is getting them dumped on them. So sorry to say. All right. This is from Escape. And this is called, by the way, this was our beloved dog, Woody, on the cover under a Rome apple tree, which was my favorite tree at the very bottom of our property. Come on, America, sing. Separation of church and state is our link to paradise. Render to Caesar what is Caesar's. Render to God what is God's. You must quote the Christian, if you must quote the Christian Jewish Bible, quote that. Christ beat the money changers off the temple steps. The temple is holy. The temple is not for sale. Without separation of church and state, we are morons trying to shove our spiritual egos down each other's throat. Keep God out of politics or we all will die, killing each other over religion. Religion is prejudice, pure and simple. I've got mine and it's better than yours. Therefore, I'm better than you. Come on, America, sing. Separation of church and state. Spirituality is the discovery of the soul, and it's personal. Leave mine alone. It's none of your business. It is my understanding of the God of love and the infinite power of truth and the announcement of hope. Come on, America, sing. Separation of church and state is our link to paradise. Render to Caesar what is Caesar's. Render to God what is God's. If you want to quote anything for now, quote that. And a birthday poem. Wild today, wild tomorrow, wilderness forever. Questions. This was written during the Bush years. So this is called Questions for George Bush Jr. Do you bomb bombs with bombs? As a Bush, do you try to outbush the bushes? That is, do you straddle the bush or lift your leg? Are bushes bushed by you? Is your bush bushy? Is it bushier than thou? Are you related to King George? Are you King George? Do you have the same problem he had with addled brains? Or is the skull simply permanently solid, like a billiard ball? I want to read a poem for my late friend, Steve Sprague. You don't know what to say when someone is sick, or at least I find it difficult to find the words. He was a fellow piano player, a lawyer, and so he had a long sickness from meningitis caught in China, of all places. Breathing on, sickness heals as healing heals, and the wall opens out into an octagon of breathing, sand and painting, a round of singing, a lifting, as churches split open and the great heart of liberty beating breaks free and rejoins the body. As all things come together and without pressure, without intent, without pushing and shoving, get bent back into shape. The earth singing, there is a way. The heart of liberty is beating and the lungs of life are filling and the breathing is okay. We are free into ourselves again to be the Taoist way, the way of water finding its way, pure mountain creek, pure singing of growing things, and that bird in flight right over me, alights far in my sight. As completeness completes, health suffers back in to be healthy again. Strength, interrelationship of everything, says hello again. Welcome to splendid earth that it can be, that we can be productively together in love again. As sings dream, dreams open up and walk about again in real life, real again, in life lived, living again, 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 an orgy of pleasure, remembered and lived in serenity. Those beautiful songs played and replayed, I'm humming them. I'm sitting down to play them for you again. And you can sit down and play them as the songs bring us back to life again. This is, for many years, we had a very productive vegetable garden. But then drought set in. Drought was so bad we couldn't irrigate much. Finally, we were irrigating about once in 3 weeks or something like that. So we had to give up the garden. And many of our fruit trees did die, suffered, and we're still in that drought. This is called Garden Gate. There's no way I can pickle the onions of your inner breath, storm the salad at your bequest, meet vegetables halfway round the world. I'm an avuncular gardener, but I can't be dry soil for your wet beets, fray desserts, or stick carrots in my hair. I'm simply a born-again parsley with a corn heart, happy to jalapeno your green chili if I can. Tomato clocks tick and cabbage time is close, but I really can't deal with the predicament of your asparagus. Sky flowers of light, light happiness, oh eggplant, I'm a victory garden, not just a patio pot of ornamentals. But I really do have dirty spinach feet, and you, only you, brought broccoli into my life, wife. Oh, basil beauty, oh, garden peas, you are the best. Please pray for my green beans and heavenly lettuce, spinach, lettuce both heavenly. And of course, rain being the integral thing here. We depend on the snowpack on the Sandias, which trickles down through the springs, and that provides us here in the village with our drinking water and our irrigation. Without the snowpack, to you, rain gods, rain on. Who are you? Are you made of rain? Are you personifications of wet things? You sprinkled a little tonight and then stopped. The ground barely damp outside. As I sit by this lamp and ponder this snail shell, from a snail I threw on the roof to let dry out in the sun. Now, as I look at the convolution of your spiral tip, the rain patter lightly begins in this awful drought. You rain gods pitter patter and play with us. Play delightful, fresh rain smell, music, little drum beats, your creatures, all the shells of the sea and land. Sing on. This is called Peace in the Streets. Peace surprises whose heart is at center of all. As war is ordinary, the dumb are fit to survive. So if you live in the hills and are not bombarded, all power to you. If you've survived, no matter where you are, congratulations. You've identified with the heart of things, which is ignored by the corporate body of the world. Is it legal to be serene for a while? To be at peace with nature? The orgasmic thought police in an orgy of hate don't think so. They tear down your heart and sacrifice it to the military might if they could and would, if they stood on each other's shoulders to rob you of privacy, to find you guilty of art, guilty of poetry, guilty of the price you pay for creativity. Come now, let's stick together and listen to each other more deeply, more honestly, our hearts, our strength, our love, our link to paradise in the streets. This is for my friends in recovery. When I wrote this book, I was 9 years sober. In strong heart, strength of the glorious instant, come into us to retouch, revivify, reclaim the spirit, re-enter and restore where you always are. Strength filling, overflowing in the light of energy of the mind. Good orderly direction steps in as the holder of strength, repairing, coming into the instant. The power of life again, restoring breath again, restoring life that is love, of mother and father, of the character of the moon, power of the sun, renewing delight, coming into focus, into the light of mystery, of the awe of all, interknitting, recommunicating from cell history, cell mastery, cell to cell, in breath energy, energizes, surprises, higher than power, in the orderly direction of love, as we pull together our weaker selves back into the circle of life, back into the energy of love. This is called, this poem is called, hope everybody's doing all right. This is so weird, but it's a blessing at the same time, is it not? Thank you. This is called Our One Bathroom. Get me a plumber, a plumber, a plumber, a plumber, a plumber, a sky at dawn to fix that cast iron tub that floats in the bathroom on no floor. Why didn't they extend that brick floor to the wall when they were building it to give those tub feet support other than dirt? Anger dissipates into reason, laziness. And now my wife says that tub is ever sinking, sinking and forming a crack in the wall. Get me a plumber, a not too expensive plumber with hefty shoulders who works quick. Who am I demanding? The dream settles into reality. All the things that need to be done. We're lucky to have a working bathroom. Do we really need 2 or 3? And last I looked, the crack in the wall is not getting any wider. We're lucky to be free. Hell, luck has nothing to do with it. I took a shower today in that tub and it rained. The crickets are my background now. The chorus of gratitude settles into reason. We work long and hard and slow to receive this blessing.
Hey, Larry, you can hear me now, right? Well, why don't we got about a couple minutes left, so 1 or 2 more to wrap it up, and we're all here for you.
You want me to wrap it up? Okay. Let's see. How about something? Boy, I just barely got into that. By the way, I think I'll tell you how I read poetry. I'm aware of how I write poetry, and I write it, and then who knows when I'll write the next one, sometimes in the middle of the night, sometimes other times. So I read poetry that same way. I read 1 or 2, then later on I read another. That just works for me. Okay, I want to read 2 more. This is called Leader, and this is new, relatively new, very new. A leader must have profound puffery of goose. His head must be above all else, as if his neck was stilts. When he walks, the earth should shudder and the stars start dripping jism. He should be bloated larger than blimps, so everyone, boy, girl, man, woman, maniac, can be afeared of bumping into him, for his hot air could explode in your face. You don't want to get near a leader who is a true bumptious leader, leads with stupid persistence, consistent ignorance, superciliousness, a fishy presence of power, strength exuding from every bloated pore. May his pomposity outweigh his soul, and he be the world's most endangered species, forcing everyone into his mold of little tin men and some women, as he explodes into space and is replaced with an extraordinary creative soul of a man or a woman whose empathy and intellect of experience can guide us back to Earth. I want to thank you all very much. And here's the last one, which is very, very, very short. It's called Ends of the Earth for Lenore, my wife. I shall walk until the ends of the earth meet, and there meet you. Nothing else is a miracle, save Concordia, save the Bronx, save transportation. Cool hours lift to the hot power of love. How did we meet? Tea, rice, sitting on the floor in the company of four. And that was the miracle and waning hour of it, as something was born, our love and care for each other. Peter, Janie, Larry, and Lenore. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Larry. And you want to
And
just
unmute.
mention your website again, and that they could email you for books. So,
And if people want to unmute for a second and give Larry a round of applause, that would be great.
Larry.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Larry,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome.
Love to all of you.
Yeah, it was an awesome read.
Thank you, Larry.
Love to everyone.
Even
Reminds
though
me
you
how-
didn't have
how
any
I used
masks,
to read
you
when I was
wear
younger.
any masks today, Larry. I think the last time, Larry was one of our first readers at the KAKTUS Brewery, and he had all kinds of paraphernalia, as he often does, masks and costumes and
Oh.
stuff. So anyway, maybe next time, but wonderful reading. Thank you. Let's see. And I just want to mention to Larry, you had 92 people in the audience. That is
right, that's a record.
that is a record for KAKTUS poetry, more than either at the bar or on Zoom. So
Thank you. And
Yeah.
love to all. Please communicate, email me or something.
good. Good.
Hey, Larry, what did you say your Bandcamp address was?
It's duende.bandcamp. There's
Okay.
tons of stuff there.
All righty. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Jules is going to mute everyone again, and I'm going to
hold on.
introduce Jules. She's changing hat.
Hold on just a minute. I gotta find you now. Okay. Can you unmute yourself?
I'm unmuted.
Okay.
Okay.
good. All right.
Most of you don't need any introduction for Jules Nyquist, but a few of you might. So let's see. Jules is the person that caused me to relocate to Albuquerque. And I know I have some Rochester, New York area friends in the audience who probably have not totally forgiven her for that, but they all love Jules, so I'm sure they have. Anyway, so Jules is the creator of Jules Poetry Playhouse. And if you want to find out what that is, there's a website by that title, and there's also a Facebook group by that title, Jules Poetry Playhouse. And my co-editor in the Poetry Playhouse Publications Press. And she got involved some years ago. She got involved with the Minneapolis poetry scene, working at the Loft Literary Center, and then was inspired to earn an MFA in creative writing from Bennington College in Vermont. And then let's see, I think it was 10 years ago, that she moved to Albuquerque from Minnesota. Why would anyone do
Yeah,
that? But
10 years. Time flies, huh?
and and which is Albuquerque, where we met about 6 months after that. And she has and is now, she's actually now taking graduate classes for a PhD in education. So anyway, she's been publishing a number of books. Her new one that she'll be concentrating on today is called Atomic Paraadise, which is a scary but wonderful book. And I'll mention a couple of the other ones that were done just in the last year. She did a playbook or a workbook about the Sistina, just called the Jules Poetry Playhouse Sistina Playbook. And she was teaching a Zoom class on the Sistina, 6-week class. And then from that also, the anthology Sistina Troubadours came out of that as well, Writing in the Labyrinth. And the book before that, which was this 2018, 2019, Homesick Then. And before that,
was actually a winner in
yeah,
the New Mexico, Arizona.
that's
book
right.
awards.
Yes.
Along with Zozobra, if you have Zozobra.
Oh, yes, I don't have a copy here. There's a Zobra chapbook, and Behind the Volcanoes and Appetites. Anyway, so without further ado, Jules Nyquist.
Okay, I'm gonna try to spotlight myself here. So I'm ready with you guys. I've got my Atomic Paraadise t-shirt. I've got the little poster in the back. You know, I'm always kind of good for marketing here. I really want to thank everybody for coming. I'm just really happy to fill the Zoom house. I think it can hold up to 100 people, so we haven't maxed it out yet. There's some great friends here, my Minnesota friends. I got some Bennington friends, poetry friends. So thanks for your support. And for some of you who have already ordered the book, I want to thank my writing group who's here, Sylvia Ramos Cruz, Kate Padilla, and Mary December. We started out, they're kind of my old town neighbors in Albuquerque. And when the pandemic hit, we've been meeting occasionally on Zoom as well. So we keep it going. So I'm going to read, well, John will have to be my timekeeper, but I've timed this out between about 20 minutes. I'm going to read 10 poems. And this book, it's all about the nuclear era and my personal experiences growing up in the Cold War and moving to New Mexico, which is a place of incredible beauty, but there's also that hidden nuclear industrial complex. And I want to say too, before I forget, that it's really, I'm so happy to read with Larry Goodell. We've read together at KAKTUS in person in the past, and we used to kind of riff off each other and the energy of the crowd. So it's always different, kind of in this flat 2D environment. So, but I'm happy to read with you, Larry. He's got some great bomb poems as well. So this one is called Star Wars Revisited. In the suburban movie theater, I was Luke, stuck on a planet that was my room, my ticket to a world where I didn't need a ride from mom. I'd sit near the front with my friend. We saw the dark side at school when we asked too many questions. Space was immense, unfathomable, as far away as graduation, or a crush on Harrison Ford, or airmailed love letters to a pen pal overseas. I'd never be a princess. My mirror was the water when we camped by the lake, permed my hair and wore a hat. My force was something to believe in, what I saw from the family station wagon. I couldn't imagine my parents dead. What would it take to destroy the Dark Star? How would I change my life in 1977? I signed up for high school Russian history and dabbled in Cyrillic. After graduation, my first presidential vote was lost to Reagan. Star Wars was implemented with real space-based anti-missile systems. I might as well have been on that movie spaceship going to Alderaan. And it's great to hear all the stories from everybody as this book comes out. And getting to know things. There are a lot of notes in the back of this book. I've done a lot of research and reading books, so you can check that out as well. This one's called Titans. My high school mascot was called the Tartan Titans in Oakdale, Minnesota, which is a suburb of St. Paul. Kind of founded by the 3M company with the Scotch plaid tape. I grew up right next to the 3M headquarters. 10 stories high, sunken giants lie silent under open desert. 18 underground silos buried in a ring around Tucson. Each houses a Titan II missile, massive weapons like the gods of my high school mascot, the Tartan Titans. Children of Uranus and Gaia now ride on tips of the most powerful nuclear warhead ever deployed by the US. Today, they lie dismantled, blown up, caved in, sold off, except for one. Tourists line up for tickets at the museum silo on the highway that runs down to Mexico. They will pay to look down a 150-foot shaft, to hear a guide in a hard hat tell stories of lightning bolts of the gods, topped with a 9-megaton W-53, 600 times more powerful than the bomb that leveled Hiroshima. I wonder if the blue-shirted man will tell the story of the worker who dropped a wrench down the shaft and set off a time bomb of anticipation and short-lived terror in Arkansas, where the 60s era plastic buttons did nothing to stop the gas from rising and 2 men calling for help. A false alarm then, but there are other silos scattered across Montana, North Dakota, Wyoming. 450 newer, sleeker missiles wait with Titan's child, Prometheus, the trickster, who gave the human race the gift of fire and the skill of metalwork. Scheduled to be phased out in 2030, who knows what international crisis loom for 2 men underground drinking Diet Pepsi, or a president a phone call away, expected to make a decision on the fate of the world in 5 minutes or less. Every day, our liver of anxiety is eaten out by the ego, as Prometheus is helplessly chained by Zeus to our nuclear rock. Who will be our Hercules to kill the ego with the arrow to unleash us from our nuclear torture? The 3-ton door swings open easily. Stenciled above on the wall beyond are the words, "No loan zone." 2-man policy mandatory. 1 person alone cannot be trusted. Only dialogue will prevent a misunderstanding or a computer glitch from turning into mutual annihilation. I can't tell. So, this is a quick one about my parents. It's called Parental Propaganda. My role model, Dad, is not infallible. Our morning conversation is so intelligent on other matters, but at my kitchen table, we argue. When I mentioned Hiroshima and said we didn't need to use the bomb, Mom got defensive, said we needed to win the war. I was surprised by her response. Dad understood my school homework, my poems, but was sucked into the lies of his generation. I thought he already knew what I stated as fact. He believed the lies of the bomb, my own parents, the way they got defensive, molded into strangers. So now I'm going to read a couple of poems about Robert Oppenheimer and his wife Kitty. I'm fascinated by Robert Oppenheimer partly because he's a poet as well as a physicist. There's one really good biography. If you want to read one book on Robert Oppenheimer, I recommend this one. It's called American Prometheus. And there's actually a poem of his in that book. I may read it at another reading, but this one is called Poet and Physicist. It's got an epigraph. In science, one says something that no one knew before in a way that everybody can understand, whereas in poetry, that's from Paul Dirac, English physicist. Is it destiny that I am drawn to this man of science, of art, living at the edge of mystery? The brilliance of stars are his, their internal radiation, logical structure, feeling of beauty, excitement of science. Oppie is interested in everything. He coexists with all at once. An afternoon meeting with his students lasts far into the night. Electrodynamics, cosmic rays, astrophysics, nuclear physics, Hindu classics, Homer and Plato read in the original Greek, missing the last ferry from the bay back to Berkeley. The fog of the universe surrounds unanswered questions. The blue of abstract theory and intuitions lands on hard, crude methods of theoretical physics. His natural ability with horses gives him relief at his New Mexico ranch. Took him on rides in the wilderness. He tames the wild as one breaks a horse, inspires us into the next great new adventure where we climb the rocks, sit in the cold dark and count stars. He shows me how ordinary minerals like uranium, what if he had been a geologist, can be split with neutrons to become extraordinary, life-changing, enough so that I pack my belongings in my car and head out to my unknown. Oppie was a young scientist following his teacher, a poet called to be a shaman. I am a midlife woman, curious just to be here in this presence, the New Mexico landscape of majesty, of responsibility. I am fearless of destiny. Okay, and this one is about Oppenheimer's home on Bathtub Row. John and I actually got it. Everyone and up in Los Alamos, you can see the Bathtub Row houses. Every few years, they actually do tours, and the older woman that lived there was doing tours, so we were lucky enough to do that. We walk into that famous photo, the home in Los Alamos, point at those windows right over there, stand in the famous living room with Isidore Rabi, Dorothy McKeeven, Victor Weisskopf. Imagine them on those chairs. Robert and Kitty had one request when they arrived, to add a full-size new kitchen to cook and entertain. This boys' lodge home with a 14-foot thick stone walls took on their personality. Robert was generous to those who knew him, continued his lifestyle of gracious living and fine wines, brought class and civility into a military complex. This home is a refuge, now owned by an elderly woman who has put it into trust to help pay the bills and continue the story to future generations. In present-day Los Alamos, where is the fine dining among the fast food and inexpensive local diners? Where do all today's PhDs spend their money? It is still a remote place, but much less isolated. Do they drive down the mountain 33 miles into Santa Fe on a now paved, still winding, accessible road? Oppenheimer's spicy hot chili and the magic of his strong martinis linger. He crafted his own recipe that used only a dash of difficult to get vermouth, lime and honey, and 4 ounces of gin made very ceremoniously. I smile upon hearing the story of colleagues stumbling home late into the night. Our tour group stumbles among the evergreens. No martinis for us. Cold kitchens await our return to wherever we call home. Yes, and this was Oppenheimer's house. Okay, this is another fairly long poem, and it's about Kitty. I always like to write about the women and their point of view. How did it feel when you fell in love with Robert at the Pasadena garden party on the day you met? It was electric. German princess from Pittsburgh, you had just moved into an apartment with your 3rd husband, both college kids, studying together after being apart. The next summer, Oppie invited you as a couple to the ranch, but you came without him and with a friend. New Mexico cast its spell. You knew you were pregnant, so you went to Reno to wait the 6 weeks of residency. Dr. Oppenheimer made a phone call to Dr. Harrison and arranged the divorce. What did the 2 men say to each other, the physicist and the MD, to negotiate for your desires? It was all very civilized. On November 1st, All Saints' Day, you divorced Richard and married Robert. How did it feel when they criticized you? Are they jealous of love, of your initiative, of being 8 months older and labeled inexperienced woman, of taking Oppie away from his friends? Your sister-in-law thought you were phony and scheming and really evil. Little Peter, born so soon, you called him Pronto. Oppie was sick, needed fresh mountain air, 2-month vacation from Berkeley without little Peter. Friends take care of him for you. Was this your belated honeymoon? How did it feel when you were forced into the role of director's wife? You moved into those mountains you knew, but not like this. Taken over by the military, your own biology was regulated to the lab. Baby girl Tony was born your first year on the hill. How did you raise kids where there were shortages of everything? You were used to a full stock kitchen. You learned to negotiate with Pueblo Indian nannies. You escaped with your husband to Piero Caliente or to go shopping in Santa Fe, to buy tweed jackets, expensive suits. You wanted to dress your husband with authority to reflect his new position. They called you a bitch. Robert could do no wrong. He was the good father. Your cocktail hours lasted too long. How did it feel when the FBI started tapping your phones, following you, censored your communist friends? Robert stopped his donations to the party. You already lost your previous husband, Joe, to the Spanish Civil War, an American volunteer living in France. The last time you saw Joe was in Paris on the way to visit him in Spain, the telegram with the sad news. He was determined to join the front. Robert understood. Now the papers dig up all the grief again. Tony, your rock of a daughter, picks up drinks and cigarettes after your parties. Years later, she will feel her father's legacy when she is denied her career as a translator, living alone in St. John. Peter will grow up to be secluded, hiding away from the madness of the storm of a bomb dropped on you. Ashes of war scattered around your family, impossible to have a normal life. You were born a princess, Kitty, scattered your husband's ashes at sea, your life blocked by an embolism as you sailed away in Panama. Okay. I have no idea how I'm doing on time, but okay. I'm going to switch gears a little bit and move a little bit farther along. This one is called Radium Girls, and it's a Sistina. And there's a great book out called Radium Girls, and now I just found out on Netflix there's a series, I think, which I haven't watched it yet. So Radium Girls were the girls that painted with radium, the little like watches and glow things. It was a very lucrative position. They promised you the glamour kiss and more money than you'd ever know, a chance to be an artist with a watch on everyone's wrist, a cause to be proud of, the glow of radium dials, a poison of occupational radiance, poised to point your paintbrushes for a kiss on your lips, that finer point, a better glow on your face. You painted unknowingly your fingernails, your toes, a manicure that causes you heartache for the love of the art. You were mistaken. Self-luminous art disintegrates your marrow, hollow poisons cake your eyelids, yet you see fireworks cause cataract meteors to burst, flash, and kiss your retinas, radiant, light-emitting knowledge like a forbidden apple, aglow, worm-like heat. Ionic energy glows with phenomenal brilliance and ecstasy. Art in its deadly fullest knowledge reveals the secrets of Marie Curie, not poison, but a miracle cure for everything, a radiant kiss of luck for bath salts, chocolate, Radithor bottled water, because water is better than radium beer. Pause with your man at the Radium Palace Hotel. It attracts the glow of 2,500 customers a year. The price kissed up 3,000 times worth of gold. An artist could splurge while working in radium. It's delicate poison like a lover that seduces without protection. You know you shouldn't, but you do. What do you know that could possibly go wrong? You didn't sue because only later you found out it was poison to ingest like a bitter apple, that warm glow on your face, your teeth falling out, your art becoming a frail old woman after being kissed too many times by her lover. You knew all along the glow was temporary, caused by cruel greed. Cheap women artists like you used up, and only the men got autopsies. You kissed away your future.
Wow.
Okay. This is a poem called Party Boy. It has a brief reference to Albuquerque in here. I wrote this as part of the Humanities Council our response to a artist that was called Everlasting. So this is called Party Boy. And so you are sitting on a corner, and so you are sitting in a corner, dunce of the party. Boy, spent with fist pounding, raw knuckles, bloodless war drones, shadow of your former self, dark and worn out as ever, a game. You didn't mean it really, only wanted to teach them a lesson. It was an accident, a mistake to bomb from a B-36 over Albuquerque. Turbulence, grab the nearest handle, the nuclear bomb bay release hatch. It was hard to hang on for your life. Trigger wasn't in, thank God. You got out with only an explosion and a warning. Pity. Was it you drinking beer in the Moscow Marriott Executive Lounge on duty? Your security clearance may be revoked. Sit in the corner on a stool 6 miles from the Grand Canyon entrance and mine uranium for greed. Did you ever notice the beauty? The American people want to know why Daddy bailed you out again. Dead weight, missing your pants. Remove your gloves and protective goggles as you kneel by the names of the dead everlasting. Okay. I've got 2 more. So this one is called Can't Leave You, Mrs. Bomb. Which kind of is the state of our diction here. Don't leave us, please. We are waiting in a white tux at your door, but you are packed, ready to leave, Miss Baum. You shared affections with other nations, but we were your first love. That first time explosion was the best, and we'll do whatever it takes to keep you happy. We'll put a ring on your finger, make you Mrs. Baum, make it last forever. We could never walk away. The pain would be too great. We can't live without you. Our delusional love affair with your power, your beauty, your blonde platinum visions, your lifted skirts. You are our Marilyn Monroe for America, Mrs. Baum. Don't cry. It will be all right. Here's more money, another blank check. We really do love you, don't you know? Please don't leave us. You can have those children you wanted, little boy bombs around the dinner table like a Norman Rockwell painting. We promise we won't work any more late nights. We ask, do you love me? You answer, of course, darling. Snickering through your glittery mushroom clouds, we beg for our next fix of lovemaking, something bigger and better. You're on top, Mrs. Baum. Do anything you want. We can do it. Our empty white uniforms hang neatly on the chair in your bedroom. We don't even remember your name. Okay. So this was for my writing group. I'm going to close out with the last poem. It's probably a little bit long one because it is called Decaying Nuclear Bomb Double Sistina. So this is a Sistina that is, it starts out with 12 lines and then 11 lines, 10 lines, and it goes all the way down to 1 line. So like if you see it in the book, it's decaying slowly. So the epitaph to this is, there have been 2,053 nuclear explosions worldwide in the 20th century. The United States conducted around 1,054 nuclear tests by official count between 1945 and 1992, including 216 atmospheric, underwater, and space tests. And you'll notice the word bomb is the last line, the last word or tellutone of every line in this poem. White as an American bomb, when there was no bomb. Before I was born, the bomb was here. 2 decades of bomb and the war, the way to win a bomb. Wake up the Americans in denial of bombing until Pearl Harbor, the bomb woke up the giant beast. A bomb project assigned to General Leslie Baum Groves, codename MED, short for Bomb, Manhattan Engineered District. Inconspicuous bomb funding, pulling strings to secure more bombs when no new weapons, like an unproved atomic bomb, ever won a war. This bomb was in a race to beat the Nazis, a bomb to save America, a bomb to impress the world, a bomb for manifest destiny, a bomb with a AAA supply rating, a victory bomb on a mission with many star generals bombing scientists with pressure to perform bombing feats of atomic energy, an unpronounceable bombing horror taking away from Oppenheimer's grand bomb vision of fission and cracking the atomic bomb code, the nuclear energy gobbled up by a bombardment of military obsession, of bomb ego power, a white man's Jesus, this bomb to save the world with a hard J bomb that sticks in your mouth, a salty bomb taste that turns to grit, sucked up bomb lies in the stem of a mushroom cloud bomb in the middle of the desert, flashes of bomb among the yucca, screams, unspoken strips of bomb fallout, like a stripped up falling bomb. They took it and used it on people, a bomb scientists naively wanted for testing, a bomb to show it to the Japanese, countdown to a bomb not offending anyone, an atomic marvel to bomb away our funk, put on cakes, Mrs. Bomb beauty contests and bikini atolls, American bombs invented by us. We rule the bomb. We are the bomb in control of the propaganda. Sell the bomb to the people. The way a war is won by bombs and not really hurting the civilians. We lie. Bombs dropped on women and children, atomic bombs and fire bombs. as if we needed more bombs, more radiation. The neutron bombs drop on us, the teeth falling out, bombing the bigger, better H bombs, the how many more mega bombs. A year before I was born, the largest nuclear bomb ever detonated was by the Soviet Union, the Tsar Bomba. In 1961, 50 megatons, an insane bomb blast, 3,333 times more powerful than the little boy bomb the bomb felt in our unconscious. A womb-forming bomb blasting mothers with radiation, satellite homing bombs. 1979, the next country going rogue with a bomb in Israel, hidden by President Carter. The bomb does not exist if we can't track it. The bomb lies to all of us. Truman lies to Oppenheimer. The bomb hates the son of a bitch physicist, loves the Marvel bomb. Reagan and the Star Wars project, more bombs in space, test bombs underwater, the underground bomb, Nevada fallout, over 690,000 American civilians bombed, infested grounds of uranium, the downwinder bombs, the produced plutonium, aluminum bombing, the bomb club, Russia, US, France, China, UK, bombs, Pakistan, India, North Korea, Israel, all bomb testing nations. Who's next to get the bomb? Nuclear power plants, the new energy wave bombing, safely humming along until they don't bomb. The Fukushimas, the Chernobyls, insatiable lust for bombs, the pit houses lined up in rows, bombs, not in my backyard bombs, finding funding even today to stockpile more bombs, never giving it up just in case bombs, sitting there with unused codes. When is the end of the atomic bomb? It is still going on, the bomb. Thank you.
That was the bomb.
That was the bomb.
Yeah.
Bomb.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, let's have can we have a round of applause for Jules Nyquist?
Yay!
Amazing, Jules.
That
Thank
was a
you.
great
Wow.
Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll have to
The
read a
bomb.
The last poem gave
now.
Gregory Corso a run for his money.
Thank
yeah.
you, Jules. Thank you.
Thank you, Jules.
Yeah, thank you.
Fabulous.
Thank you,
Fabulous.
everybody. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, buy the book. It's terrific. So, in every sense. So, anyway, we're gonna get right away started on the open mic, and as I mentioned before, one poem per poet, 2 to 3 minutes max, if you would. And anyway. 2 great readings. One more round of applause for Larry Goodell and Jules Nyquist. We usually, Larry is one of the few people we've seen in the last few months. We meet at the post office, the Placitas post office, to exchange books. Like other people, want some rocks or some drugs or something. No, we're exchanging books in the parking lot of the post.
I'm going to stop recording here. Hold on. Okay.
Okay. I'll wait.